Hi, hey, hello. It is I, the real main event, the rogue soldier, but more importantly than that, I am the essential John L. Crossfire, and today you are going to be caught in the crossfire, but we will be caught in conversation. So without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so welcome to episode 3 of the podcast. This will be a very wrestling heavy episode, so for those that just kind of listen merely out of support, the close family and friends, feel free to skip all the way to the end. Just listen to the last, 10 to 30 seconds so it shows up as a play in my stats. Unlike last week's episode, this might actually run slightly long. I'm still trying to find the sweet spot sort of thing. I'm aiming for 40 minutes to an hour. Definitely no more than an hour and a half unless I have someone else on the pod with me as either a guest or a full-on, pay-per-view breakdown or something to that effect. But before I get into the wrestling, we are now 2 episodes deep into the Loki series on Disney+. It started sooner than I realized in the last episode, so yay. But holy heck am I enjoying the hell out of it. And like I said this to Teak last night while we were watching episode 2, anyone other than Tom Hiddleston as Loki at this point just seems weird. But even weirder than that is Owen Wilson. He's killing the role as Mobius in the series thus far. But at the same time, it's just so weird because every time he opens his mouth, I just can't picture anything other than Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow! But yeah, we're really enjoying Young Rock as well. 7 episodes into that, and it's, slightly over the top at times, but pretty good way to kill 20 minutes. We had a big pop last night for the most recent episodes of the 2 shows, respectively, because they both used "Holding Out for a Hero" by Bonnie Tyler in the soundtrack, and it gave us a good chuckle because we watched them back to back. We watched Young Rock and then Loki. We had a bit of a laugh because but my brother-in-law was in the other room. He thought he was having deja vu because he was hearing it for a second time. But I almost made it the song of the week just for a gag. But low key, no pun intended. Every time I hear it, all I think of is that scene in Shrek 2 when the fairy godmother starts to sing. But in wrestling news this week, and it's kind of this week and last week, because just after I recorded last week's episode, Matt Cardona, disguised as John Moxley, kind of, sort of. He was in like a Grim Reaper outfit, but he did, the whole, Moxley walk. And any fan of John Moxley knows what you're talking about when you say that, the whole drunken sway sort of thing. But he invaded GCW, did Cardona, and he attacked the GCW heavyweight champion, Nick Gage, and then after the fact challenged him to a match for the GCW title in a backstage promo. Nick Gage has then invaded one of Cardona's live podcasts for the Major Wrestling Figure Pod with Brian Myers, of course, formerly Kurt Hawkins, and Nick Gage has accepted the challenge. So the GCW heavyweight title will be on the line July 24th at GCW Homecoming, 25th for us here in Australia, obviously. And I know you're not meant to assume things, makes an ass out of you and me, as the old saying goes, but I think it is fairly safe to say that this will be some sort of death match, or at least some kind of, gimmicky match. Excuse me. Given who the champion is and the promotion that it represents. And Matt Cardona, well, jacked up on caffeine yet again. Matt Cardona said in the promo, quote, "Zack Ryder is fucking dead," unquote. Of course, Zack Ryder was his WWE persona. And he wants to show everyone, again, why, quote, he is Matt fucking Cardona, unquote. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. They are friends, in real life, according to, socials and dirt sheets and yada, yada, yada. So hopefully, if it is a death match, Nick Gage does take care of him and we don't have another David Arquette situation on his hands. And if you're in Australia, watch the David Arquette documentary on Stan about his journey back into professional wrestling, because it's fucking brilliant. But yeah, Leo Rush came out and he said that he separated his shoulder, I believe it was, and he's announced that coming off the back of that, He's retiring. Now, when he was released from WWE, he said that as well. And I think it was kind of like a publicity stunt to promote his upcoming music album at the time. So I honestly don't know where that stands. He has said that when he does heal up, he will be fulfilling his New Japan obligations. And I honestly, as someone in the business, I feel like if he gets back in the ring, he's going to get that little buzz again, and he's going to keep going. So we'll see where we go from that. But yeah, apparently Lio Rush has retired, but regardless, nothing but a speedy recovery to him on the separated shoulder. Of course, being a high flyer, doing a lot of springboards, if he does come back, he's going to have to do what Stone Cold did when he broke his neck. And obviously, two completely different styles, different movesets, but it's the same principle. He's going to have to adjust if he does come back and wants to have some sort of longevity. The former Matty Wahlberg, this past Friday, or Saturday here for us in Australia, the former Matty Wahlberg made his WWE in-ring debut on 205 Live. The newly named Grayson Waller, not too sold on the name, but I'm sure we'll get used to it over time, had a very impressive victory against one of the Singh brothers at that. Definitely making Australia proud for sure, and I want to wish him nothing but the best in his WWE adventure. And also making debuts this week, yesterday, upon recording this, the former Blake Christian on the Indies made his WWE in-ring debut on NXT, answering Kushida's open challenge for the Cruiserweight Championship. He's now known as Trey Baxter, had a very impressive showing even in defeat, and I feel he's going to be a fantastic addition to the Cruiserweight division, and I can't wait and will hope to see, I'd love to see him and Ari Sterling, of course, the former Alex Zane on the Indies, mix it up on an NXT TakeOver stage sooner than later. This is where we get a little bit serious, a little bit somber. But, obviously, I don't, no one from, that part of the world's probably ever going to hear this, but I want to send a shout out to Don West. Classic TNA / Impact fans know him very well for both his over-the-top yet amazing commentary, and of course, the infamous Don West brown bag specials. I've gotten a few of those myself over the years. Essentially, it's a grab bag of merch at a set price, and they still almost always made it worth the while, even though it was at a discounted price. But anyway, it was revealed earlier this week that Don has been diagnosed with a lymphoma on his brain. So yeah, it's pretty fucking hectic. But all the thoughts, prayers, well wishes, etc., to Don West and his immediate family. We're hoping you fight through. We're pulling for you, brother. So just, yeah. The first proper, portion of this will be a recap-ish, as I like to say, because I will be going match by match, but I won't be doing a full-on breakdown, because again, I'm sitting here talking to myself, and I can't really, break down and debate and yada, 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 when I've got no one else here to talk to, because they say that talking to yourself is a sign of madness, just like, answering yourself is the sign of insanity. What? You're serious, right? Yeah. Oh, fucking hell, John, you're crazy, man. But yeah, a recap-ish of Warrior Wrestling Stadium Series Night 1 for 2021. Now, this is the first of 3 shows, the next 2 taking place in July and August, respectively. Of course, next month's show, they had previously announced Brian Cage versus Lio Rush, which I was super keen for, but as just mentioned, Lio has an injury and is stating he's retiring. They have replaced Lio Rush with, I think it was Ninja Mac or Ninja Jack or something. Ooh, excuse me, there I go again. Energy drinks are bad, folks. Not familiar at all with this character, person, whatever, but I'm sure Brian Cage, being Brian Cage, will make it work. Danhausen has also been announced for the next show also. No swearing! I'm not sure what he's going to be doing on that show just yet. They haven't announced it, but I look forward to it. They're making him seem like a very important core part of the show just from the presentation as well. so far on all the posters and rather. And, every time they mention it, they hammer home the fact that Danhausen will be there. So very nice, very evil. So on to the actual card for night one. It was a decent opener between Warhorse and Jake something. Big fan of both of them. It was as I said, it was a decent opener, but something just felt off. And it wasn't, I don't know, in a bad way. It just felt like something was missing, I feel. And it could be that, they're saving it for a potential, second match down the road. Maybe they're waiting to have more fans than they did. But yeah, just something felt like it was missing, but it was a pretty decent opener. Jake something got the win with his trademark Black Hole Slam. Kind of wanted Warhorse to win, but again, I'm a fan of both. At the end of the day, it was, as I said, it was a good, probably the best match on the card. In hindsight, though, to open the card, both, Warhorse with his rules ass and Jake something with the what's his name something, got the crowd into it. It was what it was. The second match was Ray Lynn, who I'm not overly familiar with her. I have seen bits and pieces of her here and there, but she had a match against the Impact, almost said Impact Women's Champion, but Impact Knockouts Champion as it is. In this case, of course, the women's division is the Knockouts division over there. Ray Lynn had a very impressive showing against Deonna. She obviously held her weight, but I feel Deonna kind of held the match together. Deonna got the win via submission with her patented Fujiwara armbar. Match number 3, we had KC Navarro, who he's been featured on AEW Dark and stuff a few times, or more than a few times. He's you look at Dark Elevation and Dark itself, he's almost always on an episode. Has a heap of potential in my opinion. He reminds me actually also of LSG, who I've talked about in the past here, obviously on Ring of Honor, but only if LSG was all jacked up on Mountain Dew. And again, I'm not overly familiar with Casey Navarro's opponent here in Cole Radrick, but he showed a lot of talent. There's definitely something there. I hope to see more from him in the future because I was very, very impressed. It was a super indie style match, which can be very hit or miss, especially when most matches these days try to, emulate each other and they just want to outdo each other and pop themselves, which there's nothing wrong with that. I've popped myself a few times in the ring and people have got mad and they've been like, why did you do that? Well, I made myself laugh. But yeah, this was definitely the highlight of the first 3 matches at least. Again, I'm not usually super keen on the super indie style, but these 2 dudes, they killed it. They did what they did it really well. It was obviously on the card for a reason. In particular, there was a spot where Cole Radrick, he hit an air raid crash on Navarro, and just both the transition into it and the execution of the move itself was just chef's kiss, as I've said on, this is 3 episodes deep. I think I've used this analogy on every single episode so far. For those wondering, yes, I do use that to describe things in my everyday life. Frank the Clown showed up. He got kicked out. Security picked him up while he was still in the chair, carried him out by the chair, kind of like a kicking and screaming Jericho in 05 when he was, quote unquote fired, which I'm assuming is probably exactly what Frank the Clown was going for. But yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. Gave me and Mrs. Crossfire, Teak, whatever you want to call her, a good giggle. Congo Kong versus Beastman was exactly what you'd expect. 2 big beefy boys smacking the heck out of each other, or crap. They're throwing bombs, throwing everything at each other, and then they throw some high risk stuff in there that big dudes like that should not be able to do. The camera did cut out a couple of times during this match because they were using the cords to choke themselves as weapons and stuff. I'm not sure if that was actually planned or if they genuinely did unplug the camera, but it was both annoying and brilliant at the same time, if that was their intention. Beastman picked up the win there. And then we have Matt Cardona again, who I just mentioned before, with Nick Gage. And now I am shamelessly a Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder was he Brett or Brian Major? I can't remember. But I'm just a mark for that dude. And I know that Rafe over at Faces and Feels podcast is going to love that. Shout out to Rafe and Faces and Feel. Go give him and his amazing podcast a listen. But yeah, Matt Cardona makes his Warrior Wrestling debut against Sam Adonis. Or Sam Adonis, rather, sorry. And for those that don't know, he is the younger brother of WWE's Corey Graves. Is he younger? You know, I'm pretty sure Corey's older. Useless information provided to you by Crossfire. But yeah, this was a good match. It was pretty standard, you know, bit of back and forth. But both guys, they seemed to have chemistry. There was something there. There was almost like a spark. And I'm hoping I wasn't the only one that picked that up, because I would definitely love to see a round two. Cardona got the win in his debut with the Rough Rider, and now what does he call it? The radio silence, he calls it. That's right, because his theme song in WWE is radio, so it's, you know, he's silencing the radio. Wordplay, pal. I'm super happy to see Kylie Ray back. She stepped away last year due to mental health. But she defended the Warrior Wrestling Championship against Holidead. She got the win, so I'm hoping that means that she's going to be around. But Holidead in this match, with all due respect to Kylie, as great as it was to see her back, I feel Holidead was the star of this. She worked the gimmick really well. She's very vocal with her trash talk, and I think maybe I'm just biased, because anyone that knows me knows that when I was in the ring and even on commentary, I enjoy running my mouth, talking trash. There is, you know, if the light's on, the camera's on, I'm on. So yeah, Holidead definitely the star of that match, in my opinion, in terms of, you know, character work. But yes, as I said, super great to see Kylie Ray back. It has also come out that, there I go again, that's the third burp. I'm so sorry. Do my best to like edit these little hiccups out, but when I'm on a roll like this, I just kind of boom. But yes, it did just come out that Kylie Ray no longer with Impact Wrestling. She was still under contract while she was away, but she is now under contract with NWA, who they're about to have an all-women's pay-per-view in August, specifically produced by Mickie James. She said she will not be wrestling on that card, so I'm excited to see that. Hopefully Kylie Ray will be on that card. I know that Camille has only just beaten Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship, but I wouldn't mind seeing Kylie Ray win that in the very, very near future. But yeah, Kylie Ray, as I said, got the win. Holidead showed a sign of respect after the match, which I enjoyed, because, you know, she was talking trash, but she wasn't like a full-blown heel. She was just being a cocky, you know what, and I appreciate that. Trey Miguel defended the Warrior Wrestling Championship against the now former IWTV Independent Champion, Lee Moriarty. It's exactly what you'd expect from these two. Again, much like with Cole Radrick and Casey Navarro. It was very indie style, but they also had a bit of technical stuff in there. Solid back and forth action. Trey retained the title via submission. Frank the Clown shows up again, this time in a helicopter. There goes the budget. And a match is made for the next show on July 17th. Again, July 18th for us here in Australia, with the man that Frank the Clown manages in Robert Eager Anthony, with, of course, Frank in his corner, against the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer. Everybody dies in a no-holds-barred match. Gotta love them gimmick matches. I'm sure that, you know, he's going to chokeslam someone through like a door or something, because, you know, Warrior Wrestling loves busting doors. Fans broke out in an Archer's gonna kill you chant at Frank the Clown. You know, mark out. Why not? It was a good little break between the world title match and the main event of the evening, which was one of Warrior Wrestling's famous War of Attrition matches, which I'll try to break this down as much as I can. Just let me take a little swig of water here. I've got severe dry mouth because, again, energy drinks are bad, kids. High quality H2O. I made that reference last week, but that's okay. But yeah, so a War of Attrition match. It starts as an 8-man tag match which then becomes a regular tag match, and then a singles match. So to break it down, it's 4-on-4. Whoever gets the pin or submission in the first fall advances with the other 3 members of their team. They get to pick which of the 3 they want to team with, and then they face the other 2 in a regular tag. And then, you guessed it, the winners of that tag have to then face each other in a singles match. Make sense? Makes sense. This is the first ever Lucha War of Attrition match, which, of course, was to crown the very first Warrior Wrestling Lucha champion. The starting teams were, it took me forever to get this because the commentators themselves kept getting confused, and I was just like, trying to watch the match while also trying to take notes. But I finally got it. The starting teams were Black Taurus, Gringo Loco, Canis Lupus, and Golden Dragon versus Laredo Kid, kills it in AAA and MLW, Arames, Ares, and Dragon Bane. That's a lot of words. Laredo Kid got the first pin. He pinned Gringo Loco, who, as a side note, absolutely kills it in MLW as well. So it became Laredo Kid and Dragon Bane versus Arames and Ares. Arames and Ares. Say that 5 times fast. Ares pinned Dragon Bane, so the finals became Ares versus Arames, or Arames versus Ares. Take your pick. And that shocked me because I honestly thought from the moment this match was announced that it was going to be Laredo Kid because, you know, he's been on AEW, he's killing in MLW, killing in AAA. He's fucking super talented, man. But the mark in me was kind of hoping that Black Taurus would get the win. Maybe that was being, you know, too naive, but, you know, again, at the end of the day, we're all marks. And as I said, I'm a big fan of him. I hope he being Black Taurus, pronouns pal, and Crazy Steve win the Impact titles soon. You know, they did just have a match against Violent by Design. They were unsuccessful, but if anyone's going to take the titles off Violence by Design over Impact, I do hope it is Black Taurus and Crazy Steve. Just a little sidebar there. Overall, the War of Attrition match, I felt, was fantastic. It's very go, Power Rangers. But that's what you expect with the Lucha style. And Arames and Ares, like, as I said, it was go, but they somehow, in the final minutes of it, managed to shift gears even further. It was just insane. They had some crazy cool outside spots. They did a very good use of a chair at one point. Obviously, you know, chairs are a disqualification, so they had to be creative on how to use it without getting disqualified. And in the end, Arames got the victory, got the Duke, as they say on commentary sometimes, over Ares to become the very, very first Warrior Wrestling Lucha champion. So, congratulations to Arames on becoming the very first Warrior Wrestling Lucha champion. You can sign up to Fight TV for free. They have lots of free content, including Ring of Honor TV. And you just purchase the pay-per-views as you go. I bought the bundle pack for all 3 of the Warrior Wrestling shows to save some cash, since I planned on watching all 3 as it is. But if you've got the spare cash, definitely go buy. It's not really a pay-per-view. I guess it is. It's like an internet pay-per-view. But yeah, if you've got the spare cash, check this out. The War of Attrition match was fantastic. If you go over to Wrestling with Unicorns, that's written in one word on Instagram, they've actually got a lot of highlight, like, GIF clips of this match up at the moment. So, you know, even if you just go check those out and, you know, watch them do some crazy lucha style shit and check out the other stuff on the page while you're at it, would definitely recommend. But this Lucha War of Attrition match brought me to my match of the week, which was, or should say is, Rey Mysterio Jr., back when he was a junior, versus Psychosis, also pronounced Psychosis. It all depends on your access, I guess. Who, in my opinion, is Rey's #1 nemesis. Yes, even above Eddie. This was a Mexican death match from ECW November to Remember 1995. When I came across this match as a kid, I loved it, and it honestly still holds up in my opinion. I actually just watched it last night upon recording this. I was like, it literally just popped in my head, and I was like, I'm going to make it my match of the week. And then I was like, maybe I should rewatch it just to make sure. And I watched it with Teak because she was a fan when she was a kid, but it was like WWE early ruthless aggression area sort of thing. So she's never seen much of like ECW, WCW. So it was like, hey, watch this match with me, and she was on the edge of her seat the entire time. So it was cool getting to see that for the first time and watch her mark out. So yeah, of course, the Mexican Deathmatch stipulation, it is just your traditional Texas Deathmatch stipulation where it is a last man standing match, which means keep your opponent down for a 10 count. But you have to first pin or submit your opponent each time to initiate the 10 count. So essentially, in a way, if you just count the pinfalls, you have to get a 13 count to get the victory, which is something that I've always loved. I actually wanted to incorporate that in my feud with Reverend Diaz, but here we are. I'm not a wrestler anymore, so I can kind of break down the fourth wall. The song of the week is Seeing Red by State of Mind. That's M-I-N-E. So mine. Like mine, not mind. It's just an absolute banger of a tune, and it seemed fitting considering I'm about to kind of go through, my highlights of Deathmatch Down Under's The Juice is Worth the Squeeze, Nice 1 and 2. So, I'm actually doing really well for time. This might end up being roughly 40 minutes. That's cool. Anyways, so, yes, I'm not going to go through every match, given that I did just do that with Warrior Wrestling, although, in hindsight, I went through that a lot quicker than I was expecting. But again, still trying to find my sweet spot here, folks. Please bear with me. Actually, check out the Bear With Us podcast by Carmella and Corey Graves while you're out there. Me and Teak watch it together, listen to it together as a couple. They're not professionals by any means, but it's a good listen. Sometimes they have good advice. Sometimes it's good to laugh at them. Maybe you're listening to this to laugh at me. Who knows? But yes, as I said, I'm not going to go through match by match, especially since I'm also doing 2 nights. So, yeah, anyone that I don't mention in this, it's nothing on them because both nights were great. But yeah, so night 1, JXT dancing and singing to Candy Lee's theme song, which is, it's Nicki Minaj. Is it Starships or Super Bass that she came out to? I'm pretty sure it was Starships. But yeah, JXT dancing and singing to Candy Lee's theme song. Like, I looked down for 2 seconds to make sure, my phone was all ready to write my notes and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of, dancing myself. Obviously not as, over the top as JXT, but, I was like, Starships, it's a guilty pleasure song sort of thing. And I looked up and it's JXT just being an absolute fuckwit. There's no other way to describe it. Just popped the shit out of me. Popped the shit out of me. That's a good segue because a let him shit chant broke out when Fox threatened to shit in the ring. Hashtag let him shit. It's a chant that I'd never thought I'd hear in wrestling until it was brought up because, it's a bit vulgar, a bit out there. You don't actually want someone to shit in the ring. But yeah, let him shit chant broke out. And to answer the question that Joel Bateman posted, in the DMDU fan hub on Facebook, I feel like a let him shit shirt would probably sell like hotcakes. Oh, shit. See what I did there. Congratulations to Rochelle Rogue on her big debut in Deathmatch Down Under. Much like I mentioned with Tom Barrett before, obviously I'm not as familiar with Rochelle, but I have met her a couple of no, I think I've met her a couple of times. But she eliminated me from a battle royal in my hometown just over 2 years ago, so that still hurts my feelings because I'll never be able to get revenge. No, I'm just kidding. But congratulations to her. She's a super talented young lady, much like I mentioned before with Charlie Rose. And in the first episode, she has big, bright things in her future for sure. Jessica Troy versus Punch Drunk Istria was fucking amazing. It was a great mix of technical wrestling and had heavy hitting. And I know that, I didn't realize until I started this podcast just how often I use this term, but it was an absolute banger of a match. Fucking awesome start to finish. as I said, great mixture of technical wrestling and, heavy hitting / strong style. And I absolutely loved the finishing sequence to this match. The 6 and out tag match was basically it's a death match. Anything with a handle is legal, so hence the cricket reference there. Sorry. It was equal parts creative and violent, and I both do and don't want to see a one-on-one in the future between Guido and Mad Dog, because on one hand, it would be absolutely brutal. On the other hand, it would be absolutely fucking brutal. Caveman Ugg and Jake Taylor just smashing the shit out of each other. Again, chef's kiss. Tommy Knight and Gore brawling over the arena. This, it's very fitting that this was the main event on night one for the heavyweight, to crown the first heavyweight champion in a tournament, because this was just heavyweight action all around. As I said, beat the shit out of each other all over the venue. Cracker Jack with his usual antics, entertaining as always. Props to Ref Jess. Shout out Ref Jess. Shout out to Ref Jess for standing her ground against Crackers. All in all, wasn't a bad match, in the opening round on the first night, and I would chalk night one up as a success. Going to take another swig of water here, try and compose myself, because again, I've had lots of caffeine, and as you notice, I talk too fast and I trip over my words. But this is far from a professional podcast, nor will it ever be one. So on DMDU, the juice is worth the squeeze, night 2. Jessica Troy versus Caveman Ugg. Again, just like I mentioned before with Punch Drunk Istria, was great from start to finish. If there's such thing as a perfect opener, this very well may have been it. Honestly, just such a fantastic match. Mwah, chef's kiss. I think that's the third or fourth time I've said that on this episode. I'm sorry, but I fucking love professional wrestling. I really enjoyed Royce Chambers' chair antics against Charlie Evans, and Charlie Evans, of course, wins the match by turning them around on him. Big German suplex on the chair before, of course, she hits her big fuck-off lariat. Again, chef's kiss, done, executed perfectly. JXT's promo was a bit on the nose, and I guess, that's what makes him an excellent heel, because I was just like, fuck. Of course, Richie's history. Richie, of course, very vocal about where he's been, and he's proud of where he is. And, I've never met Richie, but even just as a fan, knowing his story makes me so fucking proud of where he is right now. Literally, as soon as the bell rings, Richie, bang, hits the rolling elbow. 1, 2, 3, after the fucking massive heel heat from JXT. So well done. So well done. What was it? The San Jose Orange Crush Glass. I can't think of the exact title. There was glass, there was oranges. It was a reference to where Guido's from, obviously, in San Jose, California. I don't know why I sounded Texan when I said that, but yeah. But this match, Jesus fucking Christ, that is all just fucking wow. And I mean that in a good way, just FYI. Like, Teak, she's a bit selective. Like, she will watch a bit of death matches here and there, but I'm glad she wasn't around for this one, because fuck. Props, round of applause, Guido, Callan Butcher. Callan Butcher keeps calling himself nobody, and I understand why that is his gimmick, but dude, you are fucking somebody. And of course, Guido's just an absolute machine. Of course, Guido did retain the Agua Total Violence Championship there. The mighty Snuff King, Gore, coming out to Candy Lee's entrance music in the 8-person tag. Of course, it was the people that were eliminated in round 1. popped the shit out of me. Andy Coyne mentioned it on commentary as well, and it was great because it was like right on cue that I was laughing about it. And then obviously at the end of the match, music hits again when they win. Gore's just doing his pose like nothing, nothing out of the ordinary. It's just business as usual. I'm sure he was probably cracking up under the mask, but who knows? But in this match, Punch Drunk Istria, he did like the John Morrison like breakdance leg drop as well, which again, I'm a filthy mark. John Morrison is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. My current favorite wrestler that is alive, of course, Eddie #1, Macho Man #2. But yeah, just pop the shit out of me on that. Misspent Youth, of course, Aisha and ya boy Murdoch, the current DMDU tag champs, versus Aussie Open in Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, current PWA champs, champion versus champion, non-title. I enjoyed the hell out of this match. May have been my favorite match of the two nights, to be honest. But in saying that, as I said, Jess Troy versus Istria, and again Jess Troy versus UGG, and then the main event, which I'll get to soon. But just this tag match between Aussie Open and Misspent Youth was just the fucking story it told. And then, the high spots they threw in there while they're at it, just to give that super indie style was just fucking just great. The David and Goliath stuff, I mean, realistically, it's David and Goliath for Murdoch and Aisha, but the David and Goliath stuff specifically between Aisha and Dunkzilla, Mark Davis, and again, as I said, with Fletcher as well, was just done perfection. Aussie Open, they did like the inner circle, from AW stalling suplex spot where they just kept tagging out and I think they had her up there, honestly, for a solid minute, if not more. Fucking props to Aisha for keeping herself up. But, it was definitely my favorite match of the night, I think, thus far at least, when I got to it, in the moment. But there's not much more can be said. Like, just do yourself a favor. If you get the chance, go check out this match. Again, you use the code DMDU, you get 5 days free. If this is the only match you watch when you sign up, it's a pretty fucking good match to watch. And while you're at it, PWA, Aussie Open versus the Velocities that happened last month. That could be a match of the year contender anywhere. Any promotion in the world. There was just go check out both those matches if you get the chance. Fox and Mr. Wrestling had an impromptu wrestling match when Fox came out to try and shit in the ring again for the second night in a row, and he had like the hand painted. He had the hand written with like text, the hashtag let me shit, and then Jake Navarro had the hashtag let him shit shirt as well, and they kept cheating and trying to outdo each other, and referee Jay Stevens screaming at the top of his lungs, quote, "Stop fucking cheating," unquote, popped the shit out of me. Mr. Wrestling Mitchell Wright has an absolute banger of a theme song as well, by the way. It's that "You Can Dance If You Want to." So, yes, you're meant to be a heel, but whatever. It's a cool song. Fits the gimmick. The main event between Richie Taylor and Charlie Evans. I'm not going to say it was a banger like it was, but it was an absolute barn burner. A slobber knocker back out, as Jim Ross used to say. And a massive congratulations to Richie fucking Taylor on becoming the inaugural Deathmatch Downunder heavyweight champion. This match could have gone either way. Realistically, anyone in the tournament from the get-go could have won it, to be honest. Night 2 was definitely my favourite of the two nights, but realistically, that's kind of what you expect with this kind of format. You just keep, building. I'm so glad that we actually got to see Richie versus Charlie, because of course they did have a match at a secret show a few months ago, but unfortunately Deathmatch Down Under, they weren't happy with the quality of the video, so they never released it, which, that's more power to them. They don't want to jib their fans, sort of thing, so much respect there. We got it here. As I said, use code DMDU for 5 days free on IWTV. Watch this event, and of course a boatload of other content. It's definitely worth it just for the DMDU shows alone, in my opinion, let alone the amount of other amazing promotions that are on there. If you are in the ACT, I'm rounding out this podcast now. If you are in the ACT, it'll be just 6 days' time if you're listening to this on the exact Sunday that it airs. But of course, Saturday, the 26th of June, 2021, at the Canberra PCYC. I thought tickets were only $10, but no, it's even better than that. Tickets are only $5. They are at the door. It is cash only. I will link the event page as always. Go check it out if you have the means. ICW will be returning to my hometown of Goulburn, New South Wales. Of course, that's where the big Marino is with his big concrete balls. I've got big balls. He's got big balls. But Saturday, July the 10th, that is also my youngest brother's birthday, so come along, give him birthday chops, birthday punches. But yeah, again, if you've got the means, come to both of those shows. We'd love to see you there. The Goulburn show is raising money for the Leukemia Foundation, so please, please, please come along to that. Just to recap, the song of the week was Seeing Red by State of Mind. The match of the week, November to Remember 1995, of course, ECW, Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Psychosis in the Mexican Deathmatch. And just before I end this, Mrs. Crossfire and I, we've been enjoying WWE's version of their top 50 tag teams countdown. Episode 3 has just dropped today, so I'll be going to watch that after I finish editing this. She's like, why don't Mrs. Crossfire brought up the idea that maybe I should do an episode on that. And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe. And then I was like, oh, maybe episode 5, because episode 10, by the way, I will be doing the top 10 matches of Eddie Guerrero that I mentioned, 10-10. Makes sense, right? So episode 5, I was going to do what I thought was the top 5 tag teams. And I will be mentioning who I think they are in a Facebook page, in a post on the podcast's Facebook page. But I thought, I want some fan interaction here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a post, and I'm going to get you guys to comment, preferably just one tag team, but you can comment 5 if you like, but it doesn't matter what order you list them in. Basically, I'm going to tally up, all the teams mentioned. I'm going to do it within about a week sort of thing. So I have a week to tally them all up. And the teams that, the 5 teams that have the most votes, basically, mentions are going to be my and our top 5 tag teams of all time. And then I'm going to kind of, break it down, pick, I was going to say 5 matches, but it's probably going to be roughly 3 matches, some funny moments, yada, 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 if that all made sense. So yeah, look out for the Facebook post there on the podcast's Facebook page. Bye.